together.
Oh, God.
Years back. And somebody asked you a question about why not you did a particular role, and your quote was basically, actors do not turn down work.
Yeah, my question is, do actors refuse work? Am I an actor? Yeah, the actors don't refuse work. I think that's another thing. People look at actors and they think Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt, and they think these sort of triple A-list celebrities who do have choices because so many people want a piece of them, which is this tiny little fraction of actors. The rest of actors are trying to do what they want. And I tell you right now, there are celebrities at the same agency where Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie are, and they feel ignored, and they feel like they're not enough. And all the cast of Friends, while we were on Friends doing TV, I'm sure they were thinking, God, if I could just get in a feature, if I could just get in a movie. It never stops. And so an actor always wants to be working, and always wants to be working on something that will satisfy them artistically and further their career. So this idea that someone is going to offer you the role in a show, and you're going to turn it down? Why? You know? Why would you do that? And the only reason I can come up with is because the story itself somehow doesn't jive with your belief system. And so you can't honestly give your best work as an actor. The case I always give is, if you're doing voiceover and you're advertising, will you advertise for tobacco products? There are some people who are just not comfortable advertising for tobacco products. And they'll just never be a good voiceover for it because they can't put their whole heart and soul behind advertising for that. And so that's the only time when something like that would come up, is when something is just so a problem for your own belief system that you can't do your best work.
Cool. Question over here.
Well, with all that considered, I suppose this question may be a bit redundant, but at the end of the day, with everything in that considered, after the auditions and the stress and trying to get work, why do you voice act? What is it that drives you to keep doing these characters and all these voices and these performances for people? Why do you do it?
That's a great question, actually.
It is my firm belief that we become the stories we tell ourselves. And that if we are going to have rich lives, we want to experience that story fully. I don't think that people are searching for the meaning behind life. I think they're searching for the experience of life. And so my way of participating in that experience of life and in participating in storytelling was through voice acting. I'm not a graphic artist. That's not my specialty. My skill initially was voice acting, so that was my entry point into storytelling. And my favorite type of storytelling, I realized after experiencing many different types of storytelling, was animation. And so when I looked at animation and said, what can I contribute, right? One of my favorite Stanislavski lines is, love the art in yourself more than yourself in the art. And so if I go, oh, I just want to be in this show because it's fun, that's loving me in the art. As an artist, I look at it and say, what can I bring to this piece of artwork? I love the art that I have in myself. What can I contribute to the show to make the show better? So that's how I got involved in animation. I said, these stories are so good. I want them to get the best treatment possible. So, and bring them to others and share them with others, because I think these stories are so powerful. And my way, and my avenue in, was through voice acting, and then advanced into directing and script adapting, and now I'm doing my own mythology seminars and teaching and everything else. These are all different avenues for me to express what I think is powerful about storytelling. So that's why I voice act.
Next.
One of the shows I just finished watching was X. I want to hear your opinion on, I guess, the plot of it, but also the themes that are throughout the show, because there's a lot of confusion about some of the parts of the show. What's your opinion on that?
Well, I'm not going to.
And I was confused.
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to give you a definitive interpretation of X because there's no definitive version of X. It ends two different ways. And I don't want to give spoilers about that, but I think X, and I have not studied X in depth, but X is basically a millennial story. It's about the sort of a coming apocalypse at the end of the millennium. And so the idea is, the dichotomy that is set up is, do you side with humanity or do you side with nature? And so it sets them up as sort of oppositional forces. I think that's a false dichotomy. You have to choose the dragons of heaven and side with humanity, or choose the dragons of earth and side with Mother Nature. But that's the dichotomy they wanted to set up in the show, and so it's this balance of powers between them. And is it possible to have a balance, or does one always have to sort of conquer the other one? That's the basic setup. But it ends two different ways depending on which version you're looking at. So even Clamp couldn't decide what was the definitive version of X.
Good. And one more question, and if you have a ticket for voice acting, I'd like you to line up by the screen over there, okay? And Emily will hand you something. Go ahead.
Hey, Crispin. My question is a technical question. Most common people like to use green apples to moisten up their mouth. What if you don't like green apples? What's a good substitute for green apples?
Do you like apple juice? The magic thing about green apples is that there's just something about the acid in green apples that dissolves your saliva. That's why you have that problem. So if you don't like green apples, you need to stay very hydrated before the session. You need to be drinking a lot of water before the session. Once you get in the session, it takes too long for the water to get through your system, you know, and so you want to, you know, 2, 3, 4 hours before, make sure you got a lot of water in your system, and then your saliva won't get sort of sticky and tacky. Once you get to that point, you've got to have something to try to break it up, and apple juice and apples for some reason just happens to be something that works. I don't know of anything else because I really like green apples, so I love them. You know, everyone in the booth is like, oh, green apples again. I'm like, yay, breakfast. You know, I love them, so I may not be the best person to ask.
Okay, one really quick one, and then we're going to move on.
Hi, Crispin. I'm from Chicago.
Hi.
Paul graduate.
Yay.
I just wanted to I'm a teacher, and I've decided that I want to get into voice acting, and it's a really big change to go from something stable to look into this. And I just wanted to know, when doing a demo, what would you suggest that a person demo to? What type of, whether a movie, should it be animated, what would you suggest?
If you want to become a voice actor?
Yes.
Okay, so there's a quick little FAQ on my website about, so you want to be a voice actor, which will give you some of the basics. But what you want to do, first off, is don't give up your day job yet.
No.
And especially look for opportunities to act in Chicago, of which there are many. There's all sorts of wonderful theater to do in Chicago, which doesn't cost you much and gives you incredible experience. So go work with those people. There's a wonderful website called voicebank.net. And if you go to voicebank.net, you can look up the demo of any professional voice actor, because all the agencies put their actors' demos up on that website. So you can search for me, you can search for Dan Castellaneta, Nancy Cartwright, whoever you want. Listen to their demos. They will give you a good idea. These people always lead with their strong suit. What voices can they do believably and be cast as? And you can get a sense of what kind of characters they can do believably. And then you'll see they're usually only about 60 seconds, and they're real fast and they're real sharp. And when you can record something and it sounds like it's on their level, then you're ready to submit that demo to agents. You bet.
All right, so obviously, you know, aside from directing and acting, you teach. And you teach a mythology. Tell us a little bit about that, and we'll look at something.